Hey everyone, it's Karen. Okay, so I'm starting a new series called Out Today, which is basically the most creative title I could think of, to talk about the books that are coming out today. And for this week, I actually only have one book, and it's the new book by Maggie Smith called You Could Make This Place Beautiful. If you don't know, Maggie Smith is a poet. She's not the one from Downton Abbey. She's the American one that is also a poet. And this is essentially a memoir. She opens with a quote that I think just really pertains to so much that is in the book. And it says, "I am out with lanterns looking for myself." It's from Emily Dickinson. And essentially, this whole story is a memoir of her going through a divorce. She has 2 kids, and so that's one of the many reasons why she shares straight from the beginning that this is not a tell-all. It's a tell mine is how she refers to it as. She can't tell all because it's not all her story to tell, but also she's telling it at this moment in time and from this specific version of her. And so it's very hard because you process things so many different ways throughout time, and this is the moment in time that she's telling this story, and this is the version that you will get based on how she's processed things at this point. So it's a memoir of her divorce, but it's also bookmarked along the way with these kind of like pauses in which she's reminding readers of why she's doing this, or possibly reminding herself of why she's doing it. There are questions that you might often hear writers share when they talk about their work in an interview or whatever, about why you would write this, or what your motivations were and stuff like that. There's all these really poignant questions along the way that she asks herself, and they're just really, they break up the writing and they allow you a second to pause and just to be really deep and reflective, and they also kind of set the tone for that particular section. One of the things that I thought was really nice, so she talked about how you as a person are almost like those Russian nesting dolls, how you are the same person but have many layers and many versions of yourself contained within yourself as one human being. So the person that you are, the person you were at 11 is still inside of you, as well as the person you were at 20 and at 36 and at almost 37 in my case. And just how beautiful that is, and how you learn and grow over time, and how all those versions of yourself are still within you. Another thing I liked about it is she talks about places that are familiar to me, or that are kind of in my hopes and dreams for the future. So she grew up and lives currently kind of in the Columbus, Ohio area. And more specifically, at one point, she was living in a neighborhood called German Village, which is a place that I visited this past October, I want to say, and did a short vlog about it. The Book Loft of German Village is there, so that's why I went. But when I went, I fell in love with the neighborhood. It just has this amazing vibe that basically made me interested in coming back. And so I actually did recently, just like yesterday maybe, book a trip there for late summer, I would say, because we have a 4-day weekend, and I just wanted some time to chill and read and hang out in a park and go to the German Village, what is it called? The Book Loft at German Village, and just like gather books for winter and soak up time reading, soak up the last rays of summer. So I thought it was really cool that she was so intimately tied to a place that I love. And yeah, I planned to head back before I realized how closely she was tied to that area. But then she also talks about other things, like her and her friend going on the Empire Builder Amtrak train, which is something I really, really, really want to do with one of my friends. And I'm kind of hoping that maybe in 2024 that can be something that we do. But just like this idea of like how we're connected by some of our interests and some of the places that we find comfort in and all that sort of stuff was really cool to me as well. And then finally, the other thing that I want to say is that she talks about the pandemic, which I find unifying and cozy in some ways, which I know sounds horrible, but it's like we all went through this trauma and we went through it together. And it's different for everybody. There are people who experience the trauma a lot more severely than others. So when I say that we're all united in this trauma, like, I do acknowledge that I did not experience it in the same way that so many people did. We collectively did kind of go through this. And so it's really, I don't know, it makes me feel seen, I guess, to hear someone else talk about it and to hear the ways that they soothed themselves throughout the pandemic and how they tried to maintain a sense of normalcy by doing like really bizarre things just to maintain the connection. One of the really cool things to hear about was that her and one of her neighbors or some friends or somebody had quarantine skate club, and they would basically put on roller skates and skate like on their driveway. Like, it sounded like they had a pretty big like driveway that maybe looped around or something too, but they would just blast the music, roller skate, and just kind of dance as they were roller skating. And it just sounded like such a lovely practice to kind of get a sense of joy during a tricky time and maintain safe contact with friends. And then the schooling part was interesting too to hear about, because she does have two kids. But one of them was like in junior high when the pandemic started, and the other was in second grade. So just hearing about her schooling experience with them, what it was like to be a work from home mom while also being a teacher to these kids because of the pandemic. And it was just always interesting to me to hear about how different schools do things. So I think that if you are someone who enjoys like glimpsing into other people's lives, if you're like slightly nosy, or if you're someone who loves like poetic language and deep thinking, I really think you would love this book. So let me know if you plan to pre-order it or to buy it or to get it from your library. I actually have a signed copy coming from Parnassus First Edition Book Club. But if I didn't have that, I did see that she was coming to Women and Children First in Chicago, so I may have gone to that event. As it stands, I have booked a lot of trips coming up, so I think that I will stay home, watch an interview with her on YouTube, and just enjoy my signed copy of the book that I already have coming to me, thanks to Parnassus. But anyway, let me know if you're interested in reading this, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.